Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. That there's something wrong. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. Do you want to know what it is? You can feel it when you go to work, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Is the truth, nothing more.
mind of Egypt. Back into Egypt again. Here we go again. We continue to just go back into Egypt. No matter what, we go back into Egypt again. We try to sit there and see what differences can we do. But no matter what, we take ourselves back into Egypt every time. So how can you have the mind of Egypt? And I want everybody just to think and just go over this. Because even today, we have the mind of bondage, putting ourselves back into bondage over things of the world. See, we selling ourselves into bondage. We selling ourselves for money, for power, for sex, for fame. Have you sold your soul into bondage? Have you done this? I'm saying that to say this. See, many of us have sold ourselves into this, but the Bible says in Matthew 16 and 26, it says this, for what is a man profit if he shall gain the world and lose his soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? What will you profit, or what will profit you feeling what you think your body is worth, or your life is worth, for to gain something? Will you exchange your soul for fame, status? Or will you exchange your soul to become this world have known? Or will you exchange your soul to become one of the best, most popular singers in this world? What about to become one of the richest persons that this generation have known? Will you exchange your soul for one of these things? You have to be honest with yourself, because many people will sit there and say with their mouth, no, I won't do it, but with inside, they will. But you have to remember this. One have to remember the world and the things within the world and the one who offer the things of the world. It tells you. You look over here, right here in Matthew chapter 4, and we're going to look at verse 8. And it says, again, the devil taketh him up to an exceedingly high mountain and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world in the glory of them. Again. And saith unto him, what? All these things I will give thee if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Again, he taketh him up. Why am I harping on again? Because we look at things and we not looking at what he was actually saying, why he actually using even the language again. And we're going to look at Deuteronomy chapter 28:68. And it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Again. back into bondage, back into Egypt, back into this same bondage, this time with ships. So what will a man change for his own soul? This is the question. And you yourself have to answer that. Why? Because he says this here, and he said, by the way thereof I speak, by the way whereof I speak unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. And no man gonna be able to get you out of this. But you don't sell it. But he's sending you back into Egypt again because he want to see in the things that you seeking and what you're going to exchange for your soul. Meaning this. See, when you look at Matthew chapter 4 and verse 1, and it tells you, it says, then Yahushua was led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. Why does it say that? Why do it even say it in this manner? That as soon as the Spirit rested on him, it immediately took him into the wilderness and to be tempted of the devil. Seeing what he's going to do. Satan offered him things of this world. Give you all things seeking of this world and going to exchange for your soul. For the things of this world, the worship cannot be to God if you seeking the things of this world. This world. Because you're going to bow down to Satan. This is the problem that we're going on. If you look at it and you go to Exodus chapter 20, he makes some things really clear. Because God spake those words when he spoke through Moses, and he told you clearly that I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. See, he said those things. And thou shalt have no other gods before me. Gods, these idol gods. Even thou shalt not make any graven image or any likeness of anything. Of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water underneath the earth. Thou shalt not even bow thyself down to them, nor serve them. And he tells you, for the Lord thy God is a jealous God, visiting the iniquities upon the fathers and upon the children, upon the third and fourth generation of them that hate him. And he's showing mercy unto thousands of them that love him and to keep his commandments. Did we make a mistake of what? Did we worship the creature more than the creator? Are we doing that? No reason to fear to be in the wilderness, and we running around because many of us, as he has brought us into the wilderness to be tempted, he got to prove us. Many of them have ran and they have got into the woods, and they go into the woods and they want to store out there. And you got some that go into the woods and then they want to build their own communities. Because they don't want to be tempted, so they develop their own rules and regulations. But as I said, he said these things, that these things was going to happen. And we have to understand what he means by that. Because the same thing, as I said, he was led up. And Moses said unto the people, fear not, for Yahweh is come to prove you. He had to prove you. In that his fear may be before your faces, that ye sin not. So I'll be doing that. Many people have done these different things. See, we're being tested to see who we're going to fear, the God of Israel, or we're going to lose and losing everything and be taking the offer of Satan for fame, for money, for women, for power. Now we're going back into Egypt. If ye were here to be tested, then as a Hebrew, so of us having the mind and getting the things of Egypt and simple things like over and wanting a king as king over you in what most people were doing. They putting these kings over them and going back into bondage. So how do you sit there and see how this works? See, it's simple, like a king over bondage, and how you're going to be pay once, and then you're going to be taken of the gifts of Satan as always. But you have to remember, these things happen. See, we have to look at in what things actually is and what it's really about. Because when you go back into this bondage, you're going to remember the same as with Joseph. When he died, it says, now there arose up a king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. Which knew not Joseph. See, this king can care less what the covenant of the Most High God with, or your living arrangements in the wilderness that Joseph set there. See, as Joseph never went into bondage of the mind, while the Egyptians were there. However, our forefathers lived among the Egyptians, and the king in the land knew not Joseph that is there now. As many as living in these communities and places and churches and doing these things, they knew not the ways of even Joseph. Seeing these people have taken the prime positions and doing the best works of Satan. See, Satan works best this way when people want things that he has or that he had presented before them. And Satan puts this thing up as you're going to pay to play. See, it's no matter what that Israel is more and mightier, as it says. They're more and mightier than the Egyptians. They're more than mightier than bondage. Outnumber them. Outnumber the understanding. But if you are in sin, the Most High God will not fight for you, because you have technically sold yourselves into sin. So they decided to deal with Israel wisely, as the Egyptians did. And here's how. Once you have sold yourself into sin, then they can afflict the children of Israel of the mind. Keep that in mind. See, because many people are still continually separating the two. You continually separating the body from the mind and the mind from the spirit. You keep separating the two, and we got to understand how they both work. So they afflicted the children of Israel, not just the mind. See, because once they captured the mind, they had a body. And they was unable to build these treasure cities. So what did they do? They had them to do it. Let's look at this. It said, therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, not with your burden, with their burdens. And one of their burdens was what? And they built Pharaoh treasure cities in Pithom and Ramses. See, this is what they had us doing. See, their burdens was they was unable to do this. So they put those burdens on us. But how did we get into those burdens? See, they had let these slave drivers over us and put their pain, their distress. That's why they did this. Because they was unable to build treasure cities for Pharaoh. Pathom and Ramses. So those was Pharaoh, Pathom and Ramses. So they put their burdens of Israel on Israel to build them. Not only that, the more afflicted they did to Israel, the more affliction they put on Israel, the more they grew in number. This too angered the Egyptians. So the king made Israel serve more rigorously, made their lives harder, more bitter. This is done by what? Done no more by bondage. Tells you right there. Verse 13, it says, but the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved, angered, because the children of Israel, they was angered. So they made them serve harder. They made them go through more difficult things. Verse 14, it says what? And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and brick, in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. This is what I'm saying. This is what they're going to do. But the main part of the thing, what we going back into bondage, and how did they even get in this position in the first place? That's the key. How did they get there in the first place? So we went into this state of mind. But one must think, did they come and make us slaves? And we would stand next door to each other. See, did we come and they come make us slaves? And this is the thing. No, it's not true. But if people would teach that they made us slaves because they came and they took us bondage, that's not true. That's not true in Egypt. Because we live harmoniously next door to each other in Egypt, but then they didn't remember Joseph. How did we do this? See, as we living next to each other. See, we wanted what they had. So what we was doing, we started selling ourselves to them to work for the Egyptians. This was our problem. Not remembering what we did. See, this was our problem. We came into their land. We didn't know. We in their land. And as some of us are poor, we seeing the good things that they haven't, and then we want what they have. So we sell ourselves to them for work. This is how we got caught up. Wanting things. Let's look at this. Let's look at this and see why people don't understand how we got caught up and how they was able to do what they did. The complications on how they actually did this. We're going to go to Leviticus chapter 25 and pick it up at verse 47. Let's look at this. And it says, and if a sojourner or stranger wax rich by thee, which they was right by us, they waxed rich. In thy brother that dwelleth by them, by him wax poor, and sell himself unto the stranger or sojourner by thee, or to the stock of the stranger's family. That's what we were doing. We want what they have. See, a sojourner, and let's clearly understand what this is. If a sojourner, and we are in Egypt, so we are the sojourner, including the sojourner. So just to make it clear, in people who, where we get people like to run outside and look at all kind of silly books and do stuff like that. But a sojourner is a so-called a resident alien. That's what it is. We even see it in the Bible. A foreigner, or seen as a stranger in a land that is not his or hers. That's a sojourner. By definition of the Bible. Not definition by a dictionary, not definition by concordance, not definition by whatever the commentary, not that definition. Definition by the Bible. A sojourner is one called an alien, a foreigner, or is seen as a stranger in a land that is not his or hers. As Israel was in Egypt, that don't belong to us. Egypt was not the land of the Israelites. However, thy brother, keep that in mind, is key. Because it said that brother dwelleth with him, we wax poor. So the same thing, we got to remember two things. Ham and Shem were brothers. And we dwell next to each other. But if one wax poor and sells himself to the stranger, the one who land it belongs to, and many of them did the work to feed their families through them. But let's look at it a little bit more. And let's look at verse 48. It says, after that he is sold, he may be redeemed again, semicolon, but most people don't get what they get, but we're going to move forward. And it says, and one of his brethren may redeem him. So you can be redeemed by one of your brethren, meaning one of your brothers, or what? But remember, a king arose who knew not Joseph. So you done sold yourself to them, but a king arose who knew not Joseph. Keep that in mind. You sold yourself into this, to do this work and to feed your family, do all these things, but you sold yourself, and then a king arose who knew not Joseph. Just keep that in mind. So you can see this is not going to turn out good, because as you now working for these people, these strangers, and then they don't know Joseph, and you there, and a lot of stuff that you had agreements with end up becoming null and void. And you become permanent strangers and permanent servants and permanent slaves. But let's get a little bit more. It says either his uncle or his uncle's sons may redeem him, or any nigh of kin unto him or of his family may redeem him, or if he be able, see, that's what I'm saying, if he be able, he may redeem himself. You see how this is working, but you see it's not going to turn out good. Because if you done sold yourself to these strangers, and then later on these strangers decide, we're going to deal with these in a different way, and now they're not going to release you. They're going to hold you. This is part of the problem. See, this is the same problem we have in America. America, especially with the Gentiles, they make deals and they always renege on the deals. Always. Same thing here. They reneged on the deal. So you will be working for this person in the field. They'll be working building houses. However, when they was unable to build these treasure cities, but many already forgot what was in effect. And the main reason why they used Israel to build them, because of the skills of them to build in cities, as well as some with their houses. So just go back and we're going to look at the promises on the problem that we have. The problems we have is what we was doing. We was looking for the things that they have. This is our fault. See, we got to stop looking at what their fault is. We got to look at our fault. See, our fault is we wanted what they had. See, we sit there, we wanted what was theirs. Things of this world. See, but you got to remember the vow that our father Jacob made with the Most High. I want you to keep this in mind, because every time we have a problem, we forget things. We have a problem, we forget things, and that's why he said you got to repent. You got to remember. But people say, well, you got to repent, and they don't know what repent means. But repent means you got to remember what went on, because many of us has forgotten what the vow was. In Genesis chapter 28, verse 20, we're going to see what the vow was, and this is what the problem is. And we're going to see, and it says, and Jacob vowed a vow. Most of them forgot this. Most of us has forgotten this. But watch this. And he says, if Yahweh will be with me and keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on. You see, he didn't ask for all that what we seeking right now today. Give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, and just a covering. I'm telling you, we have a problem here, because we want more. We want the Bugatti. We want the big house up on the hill. You see it right there. And this our father Jacob. He vowed a vow. And he said, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall Yahweh be my God. So what happened? We start selling ourselves. We selling ourselves because we want what they got. We want what everybody else has. We trying to keep up with the Joneses is our problem. We trying to keep up with whoever we can keep up with to believe that they have something that we want. So we want the things of the world, and have we offered, so have we sold ourselves into bondage, and we pay to play. But do what? See, we do this. Actually, watch this. Watch what happens here. We're going to go to Isaiah, and we're going to pick up some of this and get some information, and go and keep on going through here. I just want to talk to you as a brother. Just talk to you as a brother to where we're going to get this complete understanding of what's happening. In Isaiah chapter 50, verse 1, it says, thus says Yahweh, where is the bill of your mother's divorcement? Where? See, stop having people lie to you. He's asking you, where is it? Whom I have put away. Question mark. Where is it? Stop having these camps, these ABC camps, lie to you. Stop having these churches lie to you. He's asking you, where is it? Out of the mouth of Jeremiah, the vessel he's using to ask this question. And he said, or which of my creditors is it to whom I have sold you? Who? Who? See, we have done this and we have lied on God. See, this is the problem. We continue, and the worst part is we'll sit under people who are lying, tell these lies, and we'll sit there and amen that stuff. We'll amen that kind of silliness. And he's asking, where is your mother's bill of divorcement? Where is it? He don't know where it is. He's asking. And then he even want to know the creditor of who he sold you to. He says, remember, for your iniquities ye have sold yourselves, and for transgressions is your mother put away. She went and sold her own little whore self. He didn't do it. You done sold yourself to sin, and then you try to put it on God. And the sin debt had to be paid. You're going to go over there, sell yourself as a whore, as a harlot, and then the first thing you're going to do is put it on God. You tell me that ain't stupid. You tell me this. See, and most of us will sit there and same thing, like somebody even told me yesterday, I can't think of what brother told me, said that these people even sitting there still pushing this reparation idiocy. God put you in this predicament, and you talking about you want reparations from a white man. So evidently that white man got to be God to you. He has to be, because God put you in this predicament, but you going to the white man asking him for reparation. That's silliness. So all the ones get reparations, please get it. Because then that'll just clear out the air for so many other people. Just clear the air. Because once you get it, guaranteed you can fold your Bible up. Because you have payment. Hell would be your resting place. Guaranteed. This is our problem. He want to know, and he don't. You sold yourself. He told you right here. Jacob vowed a vow. If God to be with me. So our father of Israel vowed a vow. If he have bread to eat and raiment to put on, and he tells you right in verse 21, then he said, so that I come again to my father's house in peace. So you're going to return your butt in peace. You're in the woods. Now you're going to come back and you're going to have some common sense. Excuse me. Then shall Yahweh be my God. But first, go get some common sense. Just because you look like Israel, and this is our biggest problem. Many of we look like Israel. Many of them try to talk like Israel. Just because you look like Israel doesn't mean you're Israel. Meaning this, when you return to the homeland in peace, some will be in the lake of fire. See, we'll say to Jacob, what? See, Jacob didn't only say this. I'm going to show you what you're seeking and where we have our problem. I'm going to show you what we're seeking and where we have our problem. Let's go to Exodus chapter 19, famous chapter we're going to go to, chapter 19, and we're going to pick it up at verse 8. Well, verse 5, we're going to just check, and then we're going to go down to verse 8. And it says, wherefore, if ye obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, ye should be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. This is clear. This is coming from God. This is clear. This is coming from God. And watch what our forefathers say, and they made it clear. And all the people answered together and said, all that the Lord has spoken, we will do. We will do. Actually, tell you what, let's see. They reiterated these vows. Let's go to Exodus 24 and let's look at verse 7, just to make sure we clear. Because he had to pen this in the covenant. And he took the book of the covenant and read it in the audience of the people. Read it to make sure you're talking about what you're talking about. But watch what happened. And they said, all that the Lord has said we will do and be obedient. Now you want reparations. Are we stupid? Ain't nothing else I can say. Are we stupid or what? I don't know what to call it. I don't know what else to call it. Are we stupid or what? We'll fall for anything. And see, and what Jacob did is something that most people don't understand what he did. See, because the covenant was to one person, but Jacob had the ability to do what? He divided it through all his children, because he wanted to make sure his 12 sons had a piece of this heritage. That's what he did. Actually, let's look at some of this and understand how this all works out and how it works. And we're gonna go to Sirach. We're gonna look at chapter 44. Chapter 44. We're gonna pick it up at verse 23. 44:23. Let's look at this. And it says, and made it rest on the head of Jacob. Why? With Isaac did he establish likewise for Abraham, his father's sake, in the blessing of all men in the covenant. And what happened? And he made it rest on the head of Jacob. he acknowledged him in the blessing and gave him an heritage, which it was just to him. However, and divided his portion, and he divided his portion among the 12 tribes, did he part them. So he divided his between the 12. He divided his between the 12. So he made the understanding divine with Jacob with the blessing, then he divided with his sons. However, are you one of those prodigal sons? See, you get your portion, your blessing. What do you going to do with it? See, you go into the wilderness, you do what? You're going to waste your substance with riotous living, joining yourself to the citizens of the land. And then arose a mighty famine, and a king arose who knew not Joseph. And now your butt is working like a slave, seeking the things that the world had and calling yourselves and want to be called a friend of God, like our father Abraham. See, Abraham was called a friend of God. Abraham walked with God. See, he was wanting the heir. See, remember he wanted that heir? And God gave him the son, Isaac. And what happened? He proved to Abraham and commanded Abraham to even offer up Isaac as a burnt offering. Meaning what? Don't trust in the flesh. Trust in the promise. To see really what Abraham was going to do. Let's look at some of this. Make sure, because I want to make sure you can't get around yourself lie. Cause we all sitting here and we're filthy on what we do. So we're gonna go to Genesis chapter 22. We're gonna pick it up at verse 2. It says this. He said, and said, who? God. Why? That God did tempt. He's going to test Abraham. He's going to tempt. He's going to test Abraham. And said to Abraham, remember, here I am. Why? Because he said unto Abraham, and he said, remember, hey, here I am. I'm right here, bro. And he said, take now thy son, thy only son, Isaac, whom thou lovest. I know you love him. And get thee into the land of Moriah and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of. Thy only son. You're going to offer him. This is our problem. See, because many of us would have pulled a Jonah. Bounce. Many of us going to turn and go another way. So this is why we like to lie to ourselves. Stop lying to ourselves and understand in what we need to do. Let's look at something. Let's drop down to verse 9 and see what's going on. And it says, and they came to the place which Yahweh had told him of, and Abraham built an altar there and laid the wood in order and bound Isaac, his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. So once Abraham arrived to this location and built this altar, and he's getting ready to offer up Isaac. He's getting ready to follow through with this. Watch this, verse 10. Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. Abraham is going to follow this through. He's going to follow this through. See, but you look at how these Gentiles are teaching, and they show you all this silliness. They show you a bunch of silliness. And the book is not even written to them, but you sitting there, you quicker to believe them than to believe the book itself. But it goes on more. And it says, and the angel of the Lord called unto him out of the heavens and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here I am. I'm here, getting ready to take care of this real quick. I'm going to take care of this business. Here I am. And the angel had to say, hey, He said, hey, lay not thy hand upon thy lad, neither do anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thy only son, from me. Oh, okay, Isaac. Okay, Isaac. I'll get ready to put in work on you, bro. See, this is the test to see flesh over spirit. Did Abraham love flesh more than he loved the spirit of God? Have God told Abraham wrong? No. Abraham believed God. See, Abraham believed God, and believing is doing what? And that the blessing went from Isaac to Jacob. And Jacob divided his 12 portions. But remembering, we are all in the wilderness, and some have lived riotously. You got to keep that in mind. So Jacob is going to give his blessings to his sons. So we have to see how this works out. And we have to see how this works out to see what was going on. But you got to remember, and it rested on him, but we're going to encounter some things that we're going to befall, that'll make us befall in the last days. Meaning what? It's going to make us fall. It'll make us fall from grace. It can actually get us taken out the kingdom of God. This is so taught so wrong in Scripture. And you have so many, and it's really bad with ABC camps, because their doctrine is based on this. But you're going to get the correction today. Clear all Scripture. Not running you to anything else but Scripture. Because Jacob had to divide this. And he divided this between all his sons. However, they taught this wrong. But you're going to see what's true today, according to precepts and according to this Bible. So let's look at this and how he divided this. We're going to see something. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 49, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. We're going to pick it up at verse 1. We got to look at this, and we're going to get the understanding. We're going to get the understanding. We're going to be going back and forth and see how this all works out, to understand through precepts how this is actually seen. And we're going to have appellations and everything coming in together to where you can get the full understanding of this. So you need to make sure you have your pen, your paper, and everything to where you can take your notes to understand this, to where you can lock down these precepts. So anytime you run into ABC, you can give them the proper understanding. So let's look at this. It says, and Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell thee which shall befall you in the last days. Befall. So first we need to find out what do befall actually means. To where once we properly start going through this, we can do surgery on this chapter here to find out exactly what's going on. So let's look at these. We're going to go to Sirach. We're going to go over here on this side. We're going to look at verse chapter 37. We're going to pick it up at 1. It says, what shall befall in the last day? But we got to remember something. Every friend says, I am his friend also. But there is a friend which is only a friend in name. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, because these things can befall us. These things can make you fall because those friends will do it, because they only in name only. Let's drop down to verse 9 and get some clarification to make sure we understand what we're saying. And it says, and say unto thee, thy way is good, and afterward he stand on the other side to see what shall befall thee. Yeah, he's going to lie to you. He's cool with you. You've seen this with many people who sometimes they have power or they have a lot of money and doing different things. And what they'll do, they'll say everything is good, but then they'll stand on the other side. And then when they fall, they look to seek their friend, and their friend is nowhere to be found. It was only a friend in name. You seen, many people where they become famous and they get all the friends in the world, but as soon as they fall, it's not a friend to be found. Same thing. Some of them will do that just to trip you up because some of them want your position. Some want your position. Let's look at this even better. Verse 10, consult not with one that suspecteth thee, and hide thee counsel from such as envy thee. Because you have some that envy thee, and you hide that from them. Meaning what? You hide your counsel from such truly envy you. You hide that counsel because you have some people even will call me actually truly envy for whatever reason, and they try to get knowledge, but then they try to see if they can get knowledge and then see if they can find ways to make it befall on me to where I can have a bad situation, to where now they can rise up and be like the top person or whatever. They have them there. We had some a couple of years ago doing the identical thing. You had some that we got rid of just not too long ago doing the identical thing. They will befriend you, but then they're trying to get you to befall. And they will cause your demise in many ways. So these are blessings that Jacob is actually going to give out. These are blessings, meaning what? This is knowledge for understanding what will happen to you in the last days. And you have to keep this in mind. So if this happened, how you can work around this and make sure you can understand to where you won't befall in this period. Meaning this is what you're doing. These things shall will befall on you in this period and make you fall from the grace of God to actually get you into another place. Because these things will not make you, these friends will not make you what you think you are. But you got to separate completely from them and stay with God. See, it's best said by Paul. It's best said by Paul. Meaning this. Because they're not your friend. But let's say, but we're going to look at Paul. Paul chapter 9, we're going to go to Romans chapter 9, we're going to pick it up in verse 6 and watch what he says. He says, not as though the word of God has taken none effect. For they are not all Israel which are of Israel. Just because they're Israel don't make them Israel. Are you following me? Just because they're Israel don't make them Israel. See, we fall loose of this and don't understand really what's going on. But we have to remember what is happening. Just because they're Israel don't make them Israel. Clearly get that. And even more, it says, neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children. Just because of that, but in Isaac shall that seed be called. See, most of them don't even know what that means, what they're going to do. They're going to go to Google and try to figure out what these things mean. And why they Google? Because it don't say Google nowhere in the Bible. But they're going to go to Google to get the understanding on what they believe. On what they believe. See, some saying they're from the seed of Abraham. Okay. You say, well, I'm from the seed of Abraham. Okay. That's all you have. Okay. Well, hey, I'm from the seed of Abraham. We brothers. Who told you that? We from the seed of Abraham. Okay. So you keep it that way. Okay. That's cool. But we got to see, but the promise is the seed that is in Abraham, but you have to be doing something according to what Abraham did. That's the problem. Watch this. Verse 8. That is what? These children that saying they are the seed of Abraham, which they are children of the flesh. You children of the flesh. These are not the children of God, but the children of the promise is counted for the seed. So you have a lot of Gentiles that mix this up too, because they just think as long as they keep the promise that they're good. That's not what that's saying. So you have to be through that line to where you can actually inherit that from your father. It's not just you just can graft yourself in there. That's silliness within itself. You have to be from that line. If you're not from the line, you're wasting your time. But let's look at it a little bit more. You hear these words of Jacob that he's saying this, and he's telling you what's going to fall into, what can happen to you, and he's going to tell you what's going to happen. So we're going to look at this again. It says, and he called his sons together, and that I may tell thee what shall befall you in the last days. He wants you to understand this. He clearly wants you to understand this. And watch how he actually separates a lot of this here. Verse 2. He says this, gather yourselves together, ye sons of Jacob, of the flesh. See, these are sons of Jacob of the flesh. And you see the semicolon. Well, coming to our written communication class, I'll show you what all this stuff actually means. However, and hearken unto Israel your father. Hearken unto Israel your father. Now this is Jacob, ye sons of Jacob, but you're going to hearken to Israel. You follow it? See how he's breaking this down. You ain't going to be doing the things according to the flesh. You need to be doing these things according to the spirit. Just because you're Israel don't make you Israel. But let's get a little bit more. Let's find out some of these problems, what happened. So we're going to sit there and we're going to get a clear understanding on what happened and why they teach this so incorrectly. So first one's up is Reuben. Reuben. It says, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency and dignity of, and the excellency of power. This is Reuben. This is his firstborn, beginning of his strength, and is shown honor. And what this is really what he's saying is showing honor. Greatness is the example of the greatness and judgment as a foundation of your wisdom, is what he was actually talking about. Who Reuben should have been showing. Self-worth, control, integrity, the elevation of mind, character, the true worth of excellence, the true power. However, you know that didn't happen. Watch what he tells Reuben. He says, this going to befall you. See, this is why I want you to keep that in mind. Befall. See, and he's telling all of them because he wants all of them. This can fall upon any one of them. He said, unstable as water, and thou shalt not excel. What you did, you unstable as water. You shall not excel. Because thou wentest up to thy father's bed, then thou defilest thou it, and went up to my couch. See, he's telling them this can befall you. Doing this kind of silliness. Doing this silliness will befall you. This will be your downfall, is what he's telling him. Not telling him this is what you're going to be always about. That's not the truth. That's what they teach. That's the silliness that they teach because they're not understanding the doctrine or the language of God. This is telling you this will befall you. This was unstable as water. Why? Because this is what happened. You sitting there, you done went up to his father's bed, and we're going to find out some things here to get the clear and proper understanding on what's going on. We're going to go to 2 Peter chapter 2, pick it up at verse 14. And it says this, and it makes it clear. It says, why? And what did he do? He having eyes full of adultery. Having eyes full of adultery. And they cannot cease from sin, beguiling unstable souls in heart. They have exercised in with covetous practices cursed children. This is what's going on. Unstable as water. This is being unstable. Not even unstable in this, but even unstable in doctrine. Why? Paul says it again, says it best. And we're going to look at 2 Peter chapter 3, pick it up at verse 16, and understand what he's saying even here. As also in all his epistles. Who's what? Talking about Paul's. Speaking in them, these things which are some things hard to be understood, which they that are unlearned, unstable. You're unstable. Same as Reuben. Unstable. Why? Same as Reuben. Unstable wrist. You're going to wrestle with this stuff, as they do also the other scriptures unto their own destruction. Why? What did he do that was so bad that he went up to his father's bed? One, he laid with Bela, which we're going to look at to find out why he seemed he was so unstable. This is the problem that he had. We're going to look at Genesis chapter 35, picking it up at verse 22. And it says, and it came to pass when Israel, who Jacob, now Israel, dwelt in the land, that Reuben, as he's telling him, went up and laid with Bela, his father's concubine, and Israel heard it. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. And it's telling you clear, he laid with her, and this was the mother of who? Of Dan and the folly. And Reuben laid with her. And these are his brother's mother. Unstable. This is the silliness on what he did. And this is why, even though he was the firstborn, but he was the firstborn according to the flesh. See, this is the thing that most people miss. And you have people teach always the firstborn. Well, I'm the firstborn. I'm the firstborn. I'm the firstborn. I'm my mother's firstborn. I'm a firstborn. I'm the firstborn. You get off that silliness when you're talking about the Bible. It's the first one who come to the knowledge of God. That's the firstborn. You can sit there and say whatever happened, because he didn't get the double portion. It didn't go there, even though the double portion is supposed to go to the firstborn son. So we're going to see this. Watch this here. Let's look at something. Let's go to First Chronicles. We're going to go over here and we're going to sit here and look at what Uncle Idris done penned here, and we're going to look at some things. It says, now the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, letting you know exactly who he is. He's his firstborn. And it says, for he was the firstborn. Repeating it again. And it says, but, see, this you don't want in Scripture. You don't want that in Scripture. But, why? Because it's going to give you an alternate. For as much as he defiled his father's bed, what he just said, his birthright was given to the sons of Joseph, the sons of Israel, and the genealogy is not to be reckoned, not to be counted after the birthright. The genealogy, and the genealogy. You see that right there? You can use that against any camp. Just because your birthright, just because you're the firstborn, doesn't make you to have the birthright. The genealogy. This is penned by my Uncle Idris. My Uncle Idris wrote this. He wrote this. The genealogy is not to be counted after the birthright. The firstborn of the knowledge. Let's look at this. Let's look at it. We're gonna check some of this to make sure we all down right and good. We're gonna go to Genesis chapter 48, and we're gonna see, did he get it? And watch what happened. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 48, picking it up at verse 3. And it says, and Jacob said unto Joseph, God Almighty appeared to me in Luz and in the land of Canaan and blessed me. And he blessed me. And as he's speaking to Joseph, what happened and what will happen. So he's going to tell him what happened and what is going to happen. And he said unto him, remember, I will make thee fruitful and multiply thee, and I will make thee a multitude of people, and will give this land to thy seed after thee for an everlasting possession. Really? Well, let's watch this. He ain't done with Joseph. And now thy two sons, who? Ephraim and Manasseh. Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto thee in the land of Egypt, in the land of bondage, before I came into the land of bondage, are mine. No, we're going to tell you what. They're yours. They came through you, but I'm getting ready to claim these boys. These boys is mine. Comparing as Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine. The same way that you see Reuben and Simeon, they now mine. That's mine. That's an honor that's unreal. He's putting them boys on the same level as even Joseph himself. He said, now these boys are mine. You don't think Joseph probably could have been doing cartwheels from that point. His boys is now counted for the seed of Israel. Not through the heritage of Israel. No, their seed is now counted for these seeds of the 12 tribes. Man, I guarantee, man, Joseph probably wanted to do jumping jacks and everything else. But watch, he ain't even done yet. Let's drop down. Let's drop down to verse 20. We're going to see something there. Drop down to verse 20. And it says, and he blessed him that day, saying, in thee shall Israel bless, saying, God make thee as Ephraim. Keep that, just highlight that. Don't do nothing else, just highlight it. Because we're gonna check out something about him. In Manasseh. And he would set Ephraim before Manasseh. Keep that in mind. Just keep it in mind. But we got to see some things because he's going to bless them there. In God's power of Israel. Watch this. And Israel said unto Joseph, remember, I die. Remember, Joseph, I'm going to die. Remember this. But Yahweh shall be with you and bring you again into the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given you the one portion above thy brother. You got one portion above Reuben. Even though Reuben is according to the flesh, but we've seen what Uncle Idris wrote. He ain't talking about genealogy now. We talking about the spirit. Which I took out of the land from the Amorites in my sword and with my bow. All this we need to understand what's going on. So Joseph received the portion above Reuben. And he received that double portion. Because what? Because Reuben was unstable in mind when this was going down. When he went up to his father's couch and lay with Bala, having no self-respect and being immature, acting foolishness, and he's telling you right now, as he said right here, that's why I got that highlighted right here. This what will befall you doing this kind of silliness. This is what he's talking. This not just Reuben. This is all Israel. And why he's telling all of us at one time, this will befall you doing this kind of silliness. Unstable. No self-respect. Being what? We have brothers who will go sleep with other brothers' women. They'll sleep with their wives. This is silliness. But then you got the nerve to call him your brother. And what's so stupid, see, the women sit there, oh yeah, that's wrong. Yeah, okay, but you got the women who's actually doing the same thing. If he made an advance towards you, why did you take it on? So don't sit there thinking that you're innocent. It takes two to tango. This is the thing. But it gets on more. Let's see this befall. And again, the thing that kills any camp doctrine with that 12 tribe stupid chart. Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitation. Instruments of cruelty. And this what will befall these two brothers. Now, these two brothers, their mother is Leah. But what can you learn from these two to where you won't fall? That you won't befall in the last days. See, because he's saying he going to tell you what's going to befall you in the last days. So what can you learn from these won't fall? Because he's telling you clear as day, these are instruments of cruelty in their habitation. Meaning this is what it actually means for these instruments of cruelty. First, not being just instruments of cruelty, meaning this, their wrath, argue, they show hate towards people or a person. Anytime someone come into their habitation, These two is not to be. We're gonna find out some stuff about them. You don't want this. You don't want this to befall you. You don't want this to trip you up and get you kicked out the kingdom. This can't be you. This is what he's saying. You don't want this to befall you in your last days. So in your last days, you don't want this to get you. That's what he's saying. You got to keep that in mind. Befall you in the last days. So he gonna tell us what's going to befall us. This is what you don't want to befall you. So the acts of cruelty and retaliation, even killing them to prove a point. See, that's evil. That's evil. And that's what these boys were doing. But watch it. I'm going to show you some things. We're going to share some things that we just need to know because we all Israel. So we just need to know. Well, everybody here, not all, but we got a lot of Israel here. However, we're going to go to Genesis. No, let's go down. We're going to look at something. Let's look at something first, and then we're going to get some. We're going to go to Psalms. Let's go to Psalms. And we're going to go to Psalms. We're going to pick it up at verse 74. We're going to pick it up at 74, verse 20. And it says, have respect unto the covenant. Why are we there? Have respect unto the covenant, for the dark places of the earth are full of the habitations of cruelty. Why are we there? See, not to have respect of the covenant in only oneself and thinking that you are of God, you're having a problem. But you'll find yourself show the acts of hatred towards people or a person, as we were saying. So to deceive them, if you need to destroy them, is what they did. Right, Simeon and Levi. Let's see what was in their habitation. Let's look at this. We're gonna look at this because I want to show you this can befall them, and why you have Gentiles actually even fear Israel as a whole anyway. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 34, and we're going to pick it up at verse 13. And let's see here. It says, the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Homer. But why? But who are these? See, these was the kings, and now mind you, as I go through this, it says, and his father deceitfully, and said, because thou hast defiled Dinah, their sister. Now you got to remember something. Don't never throw this out of your head. Now we got to remember, this is Simeon and Levi talking to them, but everybody's in the room, the oldest brother as well as Jacob himself. Now they answered him deceitfully. Now Jacob could have checked them, but Jacob didn't check them. But now you're in their habitation. See, you're in their habitation, and we're going to find out some problems that was going on here. This is what we're going to see. We're going to see some problems going on here. And why? So Simeon and Levi, they lied to these men. Mind you, again, Jacob was there. However, this lie is going down. They're going to let this lie go down. But watch what happens. Verse 14. And he said to them, we cannot do this thing, because they weren't going to give their sister there. And you got to remember, he took the daughter, and they try to show you in movies that she willing to lay with him, which still, again, will make her a whore, because it seemed like she didn't even know him, just got with him that same day and just laid with him. That's stupidity. That's stupidity. But that's what they teach, because why? Gentiles believe in that meet you first 20 minutes, they'll have sex. That's the silliness that they'll teach, and that's the silliness that they showed on there about the people of God. And that's the disrespect. So let's look at this. And he said, we cannot do this thing to give our sister to one. And he said, we cannot do this thing to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised. But they didn't catch what this was saying. See, because what they're doing, they're getting them on language. They're getting them on language alone, uncircumcised. He's not defining it. But he's going to tell you something to where he's going to make him understand it according to the flesh, but he's not talking about that. Watch what happens. And that they were reapproach us, that they were a reapproach unto us, being uncircumcised. This is what he putting them in. So watch what he says here. So you got to remember, just being Israel is not just circumcised. And you can't become Israel being circumcised. It's just impossible. Don't happen. You got to come through the seed. This is part of the problem on what they're doing. Watch verse 15. But it was But this will we consent unto you, if providing ye will be as we be. See, this was the lie. Actually, I do it this way. This was the lie altogether. That means that he's telling you right up front, this cannot happen. That's why he said it that way. That's why he said, one being circumcised, providing we be as ye be as we be. Meaning what? You have to be of Israel. But he didn't catch this, what he said. That's the problem. As many ABC camps, they don't catch this. That's the problem. And watch what he says. And now he switches and says what? That every male be circumcised. And he's going to change the language. That's why the semicolon is there. He's catching him up. He's catching him up. Let's drop down, because what they was doing, they want to catch him up in language, and we're going to drop down to 25, and we're going to see the outcome, because they had entered into their habitation, and you're not understanding the language that they're using. This is what happened to these two. So we're going to go down to verse 25, and it says, and it came to pass on the third day, because what they did it in the flesh, and they didn't have it on their heart. They didn't catch it. They didn't see what these two boys was doing. So it came to pass the third day, they circumcised and was sore, that two of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi. This is the problem. This is the serious problem. Dinah's brethren, these two share the same mother also. It's the biggest problem. And they said what? Took each man his sword. They took their sword and they came upon the city boldly. They came upon the city boldly. Why? And slew all the males. They did this and wasn't going to have no problem with it. They didn't have no problem doing this. And this is what the whole issue was altogether. They took out everybody. Everybody got taken out. But he said what? And they slew Homer and Shishim, his son, with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shishim's house and went. This is what the problem was. So now we understand what happened with these two men and why Jacob called them instruments of cruelty, including why the reason one should not come into their secret of their nation. So what is this all saying altogether? This secret of their nation was not only was the problem with Homer and Shishim wanted, they also wanted to know about the name. What's so important about what you guys calling yourselves the children of Israel? What's so important about this name? Who is this God? Who is this person that you guys saying? That's why also Shishim, you go through scripture, you'll see they couldn't figure out what was so important about this. That's why he took the woman and showed and defiled her. That's why he did that. Let me go lay with, please. However, he said, do not come into their habitation. But guess what? They want to treat her no different. They raped her, and then they're going to treat her as a harlot, because now they're just going to think they can buy her for a price. But they wanted to know about the name. The same as here when you go to Judges. This is the problem. Let's go to Judges. And we're going to get some understanding. Verse 13. This is the problem as we go through. 13, we're going to pick it up at verse 18. It's the same thing with Manoah and his wife. And what did they do? Then the angel, well, what they did, Manoah said unto the angel, what is thy name? That when thy saying come to pass, we may do thee honor. Really? Really? The angel, like, really? And the angel said unto him, why askest thou after my name, seeing it is secret? None of your business. You already, if you don't know what name I can, it's just, dude, it's none of your business. See, when you coming into an habitation and you want to know certain things, and the reason why I do certain teachings And when I do certain classes, if you're not Israel, you're not coming in there. I don't care who you are. This is why on some, if I do certain teaching, they'll sit there, well, I think I can come back to, no, you ain't coming back there. I can care less. It's Israel. You're not coming into that habitation. Period. And some people take offense to that, but it's the same thing as I can show you even, I can take you right over here in Beverly Hills. I can take you to a golf club today in 2020 to where we as black people, as Israelite, you cannot step your foot on that golf course. Period. And they don't think nothing about it. Legally can do it. Why? Because it's a private area. But some people feel they should have the right. No, if they don't want you there, why are you there? Don't come into those kind of habitations because you asking for your own problems. That's what that is saying. It's a secret. But let's get on. Let's move a little bit further. Let's go down to Proverbs and get a little bit more information. We're going to go to Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 13. And it says, he that is void of wisdom despises his neighbor, but man of understanding holdeth his peace. See, seeking them to reveal secrets of the name, however, the fruitful, as with the case, is not sure that one of their can be revealed. So if they're oppressed, or they oppress how they oppress their sister, they wanted to reveal the true name. So was she being a talebearer? They got them in trouble. Was she being a talebearer? And when they came into that assembly, let's look at this, because the talebearer gonna cause you a problem. Talebearers always causes problem. That's why it gets you killed, and it tells you that always. Even Paul makes that clear. We're gonna go to Proverbs chapter 20. We're gonna pick it up at verse 19. It says, "He goeth about as talebearer, revealeth secrets." That's what they were doing. "Therefore, meddle not with him that flattereth with his lips." Why? Because it will get you killed. It will get you killed. Why it happened to them? Go even better. Let's look at Revelations. Take it down even better. We're going to go down to 19 and verse 12. It makes it even more clear. It says, his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man, M-A-N, man, that's in Israel, no man knew but himself. Don't come into that habitation. People who, what is that name? You tell me. It's not for me to sit there and answer it. Especially if you're a Gentile. You never come out of my mouth. This is the problem that we have. So don't come into the assembly and you looking to take over the honor to where you can do something thinking that you can seek that for whatever reason. So don't be of another nation thinking that you're going to unite and be united as with Israel. This is the problem with what he's saying. That's what they were trying to do with Simeon and Levi. Thinking that they're going to do it. And that's why Simeon and Levi did what they did. Their self-will, they not took out just some people, they took out an entire nation of people. They removed all their protection and not listen to God. They did what they wanted to do according to the flesh, but we need to keep our trust in God. So what did he do? And he's going to tell you what he did. Watch what happens, and we're going to get this clear understanding. He said, "O my soul, I come not into their secret assembly, in my honor be thou not united, for in their anger they slew a man." They took out a whole nation of people. And in their self-will, they digged down the wall and took down all the protection. And here we go. "Cursed be to their anger. Don't let that anger befall you." Is what he's saying. Cursed be to their anger. Don't let this befall you. So he made sure something was going to happen. He said, "For it was fierce in their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob. So now he's going to divide Simeon and Levi amongst all Israel and scatter them in Jacob. So this is what happened. This is the lie that these camps teach, saying they can tell you who they are, which is, again, another lie. They're going to run you to all kind of other books telling you they got a vision of this and the vision, and they're going to lie to you. Not only that, they even got bastards teaching to you, especially out of the Sakari camp. And it actually calls itself a high priest, a straight out bastard. These are the things that we have to remember. But cursed be to the anger of coming into their secrets. So he had to scatter them. Don't let your anger befall you. Actually, let's look at something. I want to show you something before we move forward and find out about the rest of them. Let's look at Ephesians, and we're going to go to chapter 4 and verse 26. I just want you to see something. Just need to add this in here. And it says, be ye angry and sin not. That's what he's saying. Cursed be to the anger, so be ye angry, but sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. What is that saying? Let not your wrath go down. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. Why is he saying that in that manner? Because he want to make sure you understand what is going on. Be ye angry and sin not. But watch what happened. Now we got the same thing with Joshua. Joshua, he was making sure he already knew this, but we're gonna look at this. We're gonna look at Joshua chapter 10 and verse 13 and what happened. You look at this, and Joshua, then Joshua to the Lord that day when he delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel, and said in the sight of Israel, Sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Javelin, and the sun stood still and the moon stayed until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. It is not written in the book of Joshua, which you got fools out there talking about they got the book of Joshua, which is not there because the book of Joshua is already in the dang book itself. But they don't have that enough sense to understand that. So the sun stood still in the midst of the heavens and haste not go down, but about the whole day. This is what's going on. The sun did not go down on his wrath. They clearly letting you know they're the ones doing it. That the Most High God is taking you out. This is clear. So they're not doing it in secret. So let not the light go out and the darkness of evil prevail in your thoughts. That's what he's actually telling them. Let's look at it a little bit more. I want to show you one more, and then we're going to move forward and understand some of the other ones. So we're going to look at Psalms chapter 4, verse 4. It says, stand in awe, and sin not. Commune with your heart, with your own heart upon your bed, and be still. Consider those matters, but don't sit there and try to go against something that's going on. Unless somebody try to retaliate against you first. For whatever reason. See, that's why even with those pictures that was showing, because you have a lot of Gentile people, they feel they can be cruel to you, and you always just look the other way. That's why I tell people all the time, I couldn't have been a grown person back in those times, because you'd be dead in jail, because nowhere in the world I would allow any Gentile to treat me or one of my loved ones in that manner. Wouldn't happen. And as I tell people all the time, go back and look at Jack Johnson. He was in the 20s, and you see he lived in a neighborhood, and he also raffled their women. They did not touch this man in doing that. They disliked him, but they couldn't do nothing. Why? Because he feared them not. They try to instill fear in you. There's no reason to fear any Gentile. No reason, but they will always try to instill it in you. So the acts of through Israel will go through Israel and befall your anger and come and then in making you become instruments of cruelty, not using our knowledge and understanding, and we need to be using our reasoning alone. So he divided these two brothers in the sons of Jacob and scattered them all through Israel. So don't let this be one of your downfalls, your anger, because some of us have bad tempers. Some of us have bad anger problems. We quick to anger. We see things that goes on, and we quick to anger. We quick to do something. We got to start. No, we got to start using our minds. But someone sitting there attacking you, you please don't see. I don't tell you like old stupid Martin. Turn the other cheek and just let them do whatever. No, you take heed. Same as you'll sit there and you'll see and many other prophets, they will lay hands on you. So this is when the Most High talked about completely, and you see people talk about in the Bible. Why? Because you're going to see one of the most one of the most talked about persons in the Bible, and that's Judah. One of the most incorrectly taught things in this book. Judah. It say, whom thou art, thy brethren shall praise, thy hand shall be on the neck of thy enemies, thy father's children shall bow down before thee. One of the most incorrectly taught places in the Bible. Everybody that you see now, you can go to almost any page. Everybody that you see now, you can go to almost any page. And you'll sit there and everybody say they from the tribe of Judah. Everybody. You got those ABC camps, again, has taught people that Judah is in the Americas. Stupid as day. Completely just idiotic. But you have many people who sit there and claim that. And the same thing, people sit there and say, well, but he has a lion on there. Yeah, I have a lion there, and that's it. But you don't see, and if anybody asks me, say, man, if you had a choice, what tribe would you want to be from? And I tell people I'm very upfront. I'd rather be from Levi. If not, I'd rather be from Ephraim. Yeah, Ephraim. Yeah, I'd rather be from one of those two. Levi, Ephraim. One of the two. Why? Why not Judah? Judah's cool. But we're going to find out some things that you didn't know. See, you got to know when people want to do things, but people can sit there and lie to themselves, but you're going to see clearly in Scripture what it's saying about Judah. In Scripture itself. That's why I say I want to make sure you have your pen and a piece of paper and make sure you can document this properly. And document it properly. So let's look at this. It says this. It says Judah, and it's saying, however, the children will bow before them, and did as many of them do this day. You see, it says, thy father's children shall bow down before thee. You get that, right? So we need to find out some things what bow and what they do. See, because what is Judah's downfall? What is Judah's downfall and what Judah's going to do? Let's look at some of this. Let's see what Judah's downfall is, because it's going to be fall on it. And if we go through this will be your downfall. So we're going to go to 1 Chronicles. Got to go back to Uncle Idris. We're going to look at what's going to happen. This will befall Judah in any other nation that we do it. It said, for Judah prevaileth above his brethren. He prevaileth above his brother. And of him came the chief ruler, but the birthright was Joseph. I know that'll make a lot of people mad. But it's right there in Scripture. Uncle Idris wrote that. So Judah prevaileth, his brother, in him came the chief ruler, but the birthright was Joseph. So if the birthright of Joseph, Judah was just supposed to be doing a job. You keep that in mind. He's supposed to do a job. The birthright is Joseph. To do a job is Judah. But it's Judah doing the job. See, that's the catch. See, we still Judah. No, but it's Judah doing a job. We're going to find out some things. We're going to find out some things and find out is they really true. We're going to find out some things that you might going to be get upset about. But we're going to see this and find out. So, because we got to remember that of the flesh, Judah was the ruler, but the birthright was still Joseph. See, Judah, looking at the flesh, it's above, or it's about the spirit, but the brothers praised him. And he's one of the youngest of the lion's whip, which is actually giving you a prophecy on what Yahushua did. But let's look at this. We got to look at this all together. We're going to go to Ezekiel, and we're going to check something in Ezekiel chapter 19. And we're going to see there, and we're going to get some things here, some more understanding. And we're going to go to Ezekiel chapter 19, and we're going to pick it up at verse 3. And it says, she brought up one of her whips, one of her cubs. And what? It became a young lion. And it learned to catch prey, to devour men. You see that? See, this is what's supposed to be happening. See, but she brought up one of her young whips. But who is that young whip that she brought up? Because it's telling you, she just brought up a young whip. It don't say who it was. Just in a young whip. Who? And became a young lion and learned to catch prey and devour men. Who was that? We know Joseph did that. See, Joseph learned to catch prey, not Judah. Keep that in mind. Now all Israel is now stooped down together as one crouch, beaten, depressed, and removed all dignity. And who is that? That's all of us. That's all of us. Meaning what? We all bow down. But it's gonna get better. What you gonna see? We're gonna tag team all this all together. This is gonna be precept all together. We're gonna go to Isaiah chapter 46, then find out a little bit more. 46 verse 2. They stooped down and they bowed down together. All of us we bow down together. They could not deliver the burden, but them themselves are gone into captivity. Every one of us. Every one of us. Every dang one of us is gone into captivity. Why? Because that's what we do. This is what we do. So what happened here? So many of us sitting there talking about Judah, but Judah is bowed down. See, Judah is bowed down to the prey. See, Judah downfall, they will bow down to prey. In fact, Judah is crouched, meaning they lay down and hide as a lion. But did they do this in fear? See, the God gave you a heart with no fear, but they showing they have a heart of fear. And see, and this is the problem on what happens with a lot of people. Yeah, I'm having a little bit of a problem with this one clip. I'm trying to sit there and see what is going on with this clip here. Oh, that's why. That's why I'm having a problem with the clip. That's why. Okay, we got it straight. So let me do this now. And now we can take care of it. Let me see here. And you still don't want to switch.
Put him Which one are you afraid? I fight you both together. I fight you with one paw tied behind my back. I fight you stand on one foot. I fight you with my eyes closed. Oh, pulling an axe on me, eh? Sneaking up on me, eh? Why?
Here. Go away and let us alone.
Oh, scared, huh? Afraid, huh? How long can you stay fresh in that can? Come on, get up and fight, you shivering junkyard. Put your hands up, you lopsided bag of hay.
Now that's getting personal, Lion. Yes. Get up and teach him a lesson. Well, what's wrong with you teaching him? Well, I hardly know him.
I'll get you anyway.
What did you do that for? I didn't bite her.
No, but you tried to. It's bad enough picking on a straw man, but when you go around picking on poor little dogs.
Well, you didn't have to go and hit me, did you? Is my nose bleeding?
Well, of course not. My goodness, what a fuss you're making. Well, naturally, when you go around picking on things weaker than you are, why, you're nothing but a great big coward.
You're right. I am a coward. I haven't any courage at all. I even scare myself. Look at the circles under my eyes. I haven't slept in weeks.
Why don't you try counting sheep?
That doesn't do any good. I'm afraid of them.
So the same as this same lion is what he's saying about Judah. They crouched as a lion and as an old lion who shall rouse him up. See, this is our problem. But they not sitting there showing you the actual truth on what actually is happening. So what shall befall us? That's what it's saying. Having no courage. So it says this, and they fear, meaning this. When we go over here to James chapter 2 and verse 19, it says, believeth that there is one God, thou doest well. The devil also believed and trembled. He trembles. So we know what's going on here. So when we look even at Sirach, and we go right back to Sirach, and we find out some things here in chapter 46, in verse 1. It says, Yahushua or Oshea or Joshua, the son of Nun, was a valiant in wars and was the successor of Moses in prophecies, who according to his name was made great for the saving of the elect of God, in taking vengeance on the enemies and roll up against that he might set Israel in their inheritance. See, but they'll sit there and they will tell you and they will lie to you and they say that's from the tribe of Judah, and that's a lie. That's a complete lie. Joshua was from the tribe of Ephraim. He was an Ephraimite. So I don't know even why they said that. Why they tell you this about them. And it tells you what's going on. And it tells you that they are going to bow down. Who? Judah. They bowing down as a crouched lion and as an old lion. They need to take their positions and do a job as Joseph, as right there, Joshua. But we don't. See, everybody wants to say Judah, but they got a big roar, but as soon as it comes down to it, they ain't got no bite. And meaning what? Same thing when you go back to Deuteronomy chapter 28. We're going to look at Deuteronomy chapter 28 and see a little bit more. We're going to drop down to verse 54. Why? Because we need to see something. Just show you what we are all about. In verse 54, it says, so that the man that is tender among you is very delicate, which is a lot of them are. Is very delicate, meaning what? His eyes shall be evil towards his brother and towards his wife of his bosom, meaning in his care, and towards the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Who? These men of Judah. See, long as they in big crowds and they all feel they soldiered up, let them be by themselves. Whole nother ball game. Now all of a sudden they fearful, worrying about stuff. Let me be quiet, because they might hit me on my nose. These are the things that goes on. But it gets on better. See, they seeking their own power, but then when they get among their brothers, then they want to sit there and show you how evil and how strong they're supposed to be against the same thing. But then they really see when they go out into the world, you got a rabbit controlling a lion. You got deers chasing lions. Who? Judah. But Judah looks like a lion, smells like a lion, but a child. Something that has fear, as it says in verse 55. So that he will not give any of them of his flesh of the children in whom he shall eat, because he have nothing left, him in the siege that he has straightness, where thy enemies shall distress thee in all thy gates. And they just let it happen. They just let it happen. But he goes on more. He got more to it. Because he ain't done. Because he got women too. You got women, oh yeah, I'm Judah. Okay. Yeah, the tender and delicate woman among you, Judah. Do what? Which would not adventure and set thy soul up upon her feet upon the ground for her delicateness and tenderness. Her eyes shall be evil towards her husband of her care, and towards her son and towards her daughter. Because all he have to do is tell you to do it, and you'll do it. Who? The rabbit? The squirrel? The duck? But you'll put Judah on your page, and you'll put the daughter of Judah, and as soon as you get a little bit of a problem, the first thing you do is, why did you do that for? What did you do that for? This is the problem. This is the problem. And most people don't sit there, they don't think not too much about it. But she'll leave you and put you in all kind of trouble. Eat them and want in things secretly in the siege of the straightness, wherewith thy enemy shall distress thee in thy gates. They'll distress you in your gates. And you let it happen. Who? Judah. Who gonna rouse them up? You acting like a lion, old lion, and you hide and you stoop down. Right here, it's telling you plain. He stooped down and crouched as a lion, but not as a lion that's strong, as an old lion trying to hide. Who shall rouse him up? like an old lion. So you have people going to sit there, oh no, it ain't that. Showing you what's going on. It's telling you here. It actually even go more. Let's go down to verse 65, and this is what they do. While you crouch down. And among these nations thou shalt find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy feet have rest, but the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing eyes and sorrow of mind. Why? 'Cause you just like an old lion. You scared of your own shadow. Meaning what? Better yet, let's get a little bit more. See, because what they do, they'll get out the wilderness. And what they go, let's go build us a community. We're going to live within, we're going to live peaceful. We're going to live peacefully. Let's go live in the wilderness. Let's go buy some land way up in the boonies somewhere, and we're going to get out the world. Because you're scared of your own shadow. Yeah, we get up here, and then y'all make me king. Put me in the wilderness, and I'm king. Who do it? Judah. People can say what they want. He's telling you, Israel telling you right up front, and everybody sitting there, Judah, 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 Judah. Who's going to rouse them up? Because all somebody got to do is snap at them, and the first thing they're going to do, what you do that for? What you do that for? Quick as day. See, this is the problem that people have. So he says, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and thou shalt have no assurance of life. That's why you're hiding. That's why you're hiding in the wilderness. This is why you're hiding in those community areas. You're hiding. But he goes on more. And what happens here? In the morning thou shalt say, will God were even? You already wish. As soon as the sun come up, you wish it was the next day. And when it's even, thou shalt say, will God were the morning? You as soon as the sun go down, you wish it was the next morning. For the fear of thy heart, whereof thou shalt fear, in thy sight, in thy eyes, thou shalt see. Who? Judah. Is stooped down like and crouched like a lion, an old lion, as one in fear, who in going to arouse him up, make him break his cover, wake him up. Actually, let's look at something. Let's go to Joel. We're gonna go to Joel. I want to see something. We want to sit there and see who gonna wake up them. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, make up mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. You gonna come up? Yeah, I'll post that stuff on your thing. You post that on your thing, but I'm gonna show you something. Why I told you why everything is so screwed up. Because everybody thinks it's Judah, 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 Judah. And it's not. Let's look at this. Let's go to verse 10. The scepter shall not depart from Judah. He's going to make him do his job. He's going to make you do the job just like he did Jonah. He's going to make you do your job. But watch this. Nor a lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh comes. I know you want to know what that means too. Only until Shiloh comes, your job is done. Yeah, I know they sitting there. Well, no, we still no. Let's look at this again. We're gonna make sure the scepter shall not depart from Judah, because he's gonna make you do your job. Why? Because you're up there as an old lion. 2. Nor a lawgiver from between his feet. Ain't nothing gonna change until you stand up and do what you're supposed to be doing. Till your butt do what you're supposed to do until Shiloh comes. Go look that up. Go look that up in any commentary, any concord. You'll never find out what that means. Why? Because you're not using precepts. not using affiliations and knowing what it means. This is the problem. So this is the big question. Has Shiloh came? If not, show me in Scripture. If Shiloh came, show me in Scripture. If he didn't come, show me in Scripture. If you don't spiritually know what this means, calling yourself Judah, then you doing this completely in vain and really don't know how stupid it looked to somebody who actually know what this stuff means. When you say I'm the tribe, but you don't know how ignorant that looks to you. Makes it a joke. Show me Shiloh anywhere in the New Testament. Anywhere in the New Testament, show me Shiloh. Or do you know if Shiloh is there? Because unto him, the people should be gathered how? In fact, to who? To who? See, well, let's go on next, because I know that going to bother a lot of people. That's going to bother a lot of people, but this is the same thing. People love to sit there. A lot of people like to go hole up under camps and all this kind of silliness. But then when you ask the question, go run to the camp. Go tell them that and tell them to give you the answer to it. I guarantee you they can't give it to you. The stupidity on what people do. You sit under something where they don't know the answer to, but they want to show you UFOs, IFOs, stupidity stuff. Tickling ears. See, even binding his foal unto the vine as an ass, a coat unto the choice vine, he washed his garments in wine, in his clothes in blood of grapes. What? Did you get what he said? See, a coat of an ass. Ass is domesticated. An ass is domesticated. A donkey is not. An ass is. I ain't gonna even get into it to even break it down. It don't even make sense. It don't even make sense to even break that down. But let's look at it a little bit more. It says, his eyes shall be red with wine, his teeth white with milk. And then we have Zebulun. What is Zebulun downfall? What do we need to watch as Israel? What do we need to watch out for as a downfall? What he does. What do Zebulun see? Because this ain't showing you where Zebulun is actually residing and showing you where nobody resides. These are telling you what's going to befall on us on our last days. So these things don't get caught up in. Don't let people lie to you. And we're going to see some things about Zebulun. What shall dwell in the heaven of the sea, and he shall be for in heaven of ships. In his border shall be unto Zidon. Really? See, the downfall is going to be dwelling on the harbors and beaches and ports, among other nations. That's his problem. And his downfall is unto Zidon spiritually, meaning what? Fishing. He's fishing. But for what? And he laying snares in their huntings. It's him. He's the one actually even laying snares to help putting people up. Meaning what? You sitting there, you wimping out and selling out your own people. Zebulun. How many people do we know right now that do that? I guarantee everybody knows somebody who will sell out their own people. Zebulun. And then we got Issachar. Oh, Issachar is a strong ass, what I told you. A strong ass crouching down between burdens. Crouching, bowing itself down. See, they were, oh no, he's crouching. No, he's bowing down between two burdens. This is his downfall. This will be the downfall in doing that. Meaning what? As I said, that's domesticated. That means he done broke your butt and made you domesticated, and now you selling yourself for prey. A donkey is a wild beast, and an ass is domesticated. Don't never forget that. You don't let no man break you. You're a servant of God. You're a servant. Well, let me get off of that. This is the problem. But you'll sell yourself to what you can see on the other side of the grass. Thinking the rest is good. The land, you look on the other side, man, it sure looks nice over there. But your butt bowed down and became a servant even unto tribute. It tells you, it's let's look at it. It's right there. He says, and he saw the rest was good in the land that was pleasant, and bowed his shoulders and bare and became a servant unto tribute. I ain't making it up. It's right there. This is what we do. We do this like clockwork. And we're quick to sit there to put it on everybody else. And then they want to sit there, well, no, this is who they are. No, oh, no. This is what's going to befall us. All this stuff, you got to make sure you don't fall into these traps. And then we got old Dan. Old man Dan. Don't mess around and be like him. No, don't get caught up with him. See, Dan should judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. What? Meaning what? Dan should be a serpent. He's going to be a snake, by the way. An altar in the path that biteth the horse's heel, so that the rider shall fall backwards. You're going to make sure you're going to fall backwards, where you can't never reign and get back into the kingdom. How do we know this? Because he tells you all this, all in scripture, but we sit there and we want to hold on to silliness. Amos chapter 8, and we're going to look at verse 14. Get some information. It says, then they that swear by the sin of Samaria and say, thy God, old Dan, oh good man Dan, liveth in the manner of Beersheba, liveth, even they shall fall and never rise again. Never. That's why you don't see them in the kingdom. That's why you won't see them in the kingdom. That's why you can go back in Revelation, you don't see Dan there. That's why Dan's not there. Everybody saying, well, what about Samson? Because most people don't know, but Samson was from the tribe of Dan. What about Samson? Okay. What about Samson? Okay. Okay, what about Samson? Okay. What about him? If you hate God, don't look for love from me. See, Dan's entire line was removed. Have you waited for salvation? But let's not dwell on that, because have you waited for it? I have waited for thy salvation, O Lord. But now we got to see even more. We got to see even something going on with Gad. Gad. What is Gad downfall? The troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at last. Gad downfall, but will overcome in the last days. And then we have out of Asher. Oh, Asher. Asher, some bad boy. Out of Asher, his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dinees. Really? Yeah. Let's see what Asher. See, Asher had great knowledge, and he wanted to be paid for the knowledge that he had. See, because watch. Let me show you something. Let me show you something about Asher, because a lot of us got Asher in us. We just don't know it. We're gonna go to Genesis chapter 10 and verse down to 22. It says the children of Shem, Elam, and Asher. So we know Asher is there. It's Asher. But Asher couldn't stay put. See, Asher had to roll up out of the land where he was. See, this is what Asher did. Asher went up, when we go back up to verse 11, we're going to see Asher did something. See, out of the land went forth Asher and built Nineveh. He built Nineveh. Who? Asher. And the city of Rabbah. Oh, wait a minute. See, most people miss that. Yeah, and he built the city of Rabbah. But guess what? He ain't done. And Caleb. He built all three of those places. Who? Asher. And now we need to know what they spiritually mean to understand what he's talking about. Now we need to know what he spiritually means to know what he's talking about. See, because Asher did these things. See, but Rabbah is exactly what it means. Rabbah is the broad places. It's talking about the broad places, so we need to examine exactly what that means. And it spiritually mean the plaza, the spacious place. It's the plazas, the wide streets. Keilah is what? I'm not sure what happened there. I'm not sure what's happened there. Why? Because that means to be completed. So I don't know what happened there. Either the work went on for years and they never got to complete it, or due to the name, that's why they named it that. I don't know. But I never was able to sit there and find out why that happened. But then we have Rezan. See, Asher also built. See, called the Fountain of the Four Heads, the suburbs of Nineveh. See, these cities was built by Asher, but big things in his eyes, and that was going to be his downfall. Because what we try to do, we try to build big things, and when we need to be preparing ourselves for God. You follow me? See, don't let this be our downfall. We trying to build our own empires. You follow me? And many of us do that today. We want to build our own empires. We want to have our own stuff. We want to have our own things. We building these empires here on earth and thinking that they're going to be here forever. That's not the point. That's not the point here. So we need to find out what's happening. Then we have old Nephilim. Nephilim. That always makes it. Nephilim. As a hen let loose, he giveth goodly words. Nephilim giveth goodly words, and this is going to be your downfall. This will be your downfall, right? This is what will befall you, giving goodly words. Meaning this. Let's look at this. Paul is going to tear some of this down. And I'm just showing you in a nicer way because Yahushua kind of breaks you off a little bit worse. But we're going to go to Romans chapter 16, verse 18. It says, they that are such serve not our Lord Yahushua the Messiah, but their own bellies, in good by words and fair speeches, deceive the hearts of the simple. That's what they're doing. You got a lot of them out there teaching doctrine right now, and they're doing it for money. Don't let them ABC camps go because they're making you pay tithes. So when you sitting there, y'all in the camps, the ABC camps try to talk about the Christian churches. The Christian churches should talk about the ABC camps because y'all, guess what? Y'all doing one of the same thing. You're doing one of the same thing. One of the stupidest things they do, they sat there, just did a Passover and sat there, and then they They're going to sit there and serve the lamb, and the lamb body cannot be broken, and they give it to you, and they break it up and give it to you on your own plate. Stupidity to the fullest amount. Stupidity to the fullest amount. And what they do, they sitting there, they telling you these lies, these goodly words. Hey, dude, let me tell you, let me come on over here to my church and all this stuff. In Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 6, he says what? For even thy brethren in the house of thy father, even they have dealt treacherously with thee. Yea, they have called a multitude after thee. Believe them not. Believe them not. Why? Though they speak fair words unto thee. This is what they do. This is what they do. And then we had a tribe of Joseph. The nation that was the good one. See, Joseph is a fruitful broth, even a fruitful broth by well, and whose branches ran over the wall. That's Joseph. See, Joseph was doing this. See, to show you how shady we are as a whole, we're going to look at Acts chapter 7, verse 9. Just the way we can understand it, breaking down this chapter 49. We're going to look at this in verse 9. Acts 7 and 9, and it says this. It says, and the patriarchs, meaning who? The other 11 boys, moved to envy and sold Joseph unto bondage. We used to doing that. Didn't we sell ourselves? We sold ourselves into bondage, but the only problem, we had one problem. God was with Joseph. He was with Joseph. Is he with us? Is he with you? See, in the shadiness that we got down to, we sold him to the Midianites. I'm gonna show you. We sold him to some of our brothers. I'm gonna show you this to where we can't get around it. See, we got to look at truth and just bear with the truth. We did it. We did it. Stop sitting there lying to yourself. Let's look at Genesis chapter 37. We're gonna pick it up at verse 31. In Acts 37, actually, we're gonna pick it up at verse 28. Let's still go to 28. It says, "Then there passed by Midianites, merchantmen." This is from Abraham's concubine, Keturah. Midianites, merchantmen. And they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites. Now they sell him to Abraham's firstborn son of the flesh from Hagar. But 20 pieces of silver. And they brought Joseph unto bondage. Who did that? And now let me show you how shady we do. See, we got to look at shady as shady. But stop sitting there thinking we ain't shady. But let's look at a little more what we did. So this is what we did. And they took Joseph's coat and killed a kid. So they're going to kill a kid. They're going to kill a goat. And dip the coat in the blood. And what they going to do? Take it right to Daddy. Daddy, look what happened. And they sent the coat to many colors and brought it unto their father and said, this have we found now, whether it be thy son coat or no. Lying. Just bold-faced lying. But watch, it gets better. And we know, and he knew it and said, it is my son's coat. And evil beasts have devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces. Now we done lied to Daddy. These men were the archers and hated the truth for prophecy. However, his bow was by the mighty hand of God, shepherd of the stone of Israel. It tells you look right here. The archers have solely grieved him, angered him, and shot at him and hated him. But what happened? But his bow abode in strength in the arms of the hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty God of Jacob. It didn't matter. God was going to roll with him. He was the firstborn. But he gets better. He gets better. From thence is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. That's the stone of Israel, as we were just saying. But we got to sit there and see some things. Why? Because that blessing is going to run to him. It tells you this even here. When you look at Genesis chapter 49 and you look at verse 2. And it tells you, gather yourselves together, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father. That's why he's saying that. And he prevailed in the blessings of his father. And then we have none other than who else? Well, let's go down. We got to see the blessings of that father prevail, and the blessings of the progenitor in the uttermost bounds, everlasting hill. They shall be on the head of Joseph, and the crown of the head of him was the separated from his brethren. That's why that happened. But now we have Benjamin. Shall be a raven as a wolf. In the morning as devouring the prey, and at night shall divide the spoil. Another thing, they teach it all wrong. But this is what? Raving as a wolf. Right there. Not a raven. Raving as a wolf. Mean two different things. Raving is being greedy. And that's why he's comparing him to a wolf. For let's look at an example. Let's go to Genesis chapter 8. We're going to look at 8 and verse 7. It says, and he set forth the raving, two different things, which he sent forth to and fro until the waters were dried up from the earth. So we're talking about two different things. So let's look at this all together. Ezekiel chapter 22 and 27. We got to run these precepts because I want to make sure you understand what's happening. So when you run back into these raving people, you know where they're coming from. And it says, his princesses in the midst thereof are like wolves, raving the prey to shed blood and to destroy souls to get dishonest gain. They there to rob you, bro. They there to rob you. We shouldn't be about that. That's why most people, they sit there and they do these things and they don't know why they're doing. See, and it tells you this all day long. And we go right back over here, 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 2, and it tells you clear as day right here. It says, feed the flock of God which is among you, taking oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly. Do it willingly. And not for filthy lucre, not for money. That's why you don't see no donation buttons on my page. You don't see none on North Carolina, King James Bible University, on Elder T page. You don't see none on Elder Jenkins, King James Bible University, Georgia, on his page. You don't see none there. We don't feed you and tell, oh, let me see y'all. If you like what you heard, drop a few dollars. If you like it, drop a few dollars. Nah, not for filthy lucre. Not for filthy lucre. See, and then some will say, well, how if you don't do that, how they gonna do it? This gonna be out of necessity. So they need something to survive. Yeah, and some gonna make you think that. Some is gonna make you think that. They're gonna push that in there, making them thinking that you need this money, that they need it, and then they're gonna tell you, well, we need to support this going on. They're gonna support this that's going on. Really. See, you got necessities and things that need to happen, and then sometimes they like to push that necessity on you. But the Bible says this. So this is why I say, I want you to take this back, and I want you to take this back to your preachers, or whoever you're dealing with. We're going to go to 2 Corinthians chapter 9. We're going to pick it up at verse 7. It says, every man according to his, that as he purposed in his heart, let him give. Really. Not grudgingly or of necessity. Really. You can't give up necessity. Meaning what? So if it's for a light bill, you can't give. If it's for his mortgage or the church or whatever, you can't give. Not giving for their salaries, you cannot give. See, these burdens is put up on you to pay tribute, bondage, to receive these monies. See, they putting you right back in the mind of what? Taking you right back to Egypt. Not necessity, not sin, not begging, and doing these things. See, you see many people sit there and say a necessity, and then they'll sit there and see me talking about, man, well, why you're not begging for money? You're not, no, because I have no reason to. But then you say, well, some, man, you got these books for the classes. This, okay, that's for books for classes. So they sit there and say, well, they don't give out of necessity. But it tells you clear as day, God loves a cheerful giver. See, it's not required. But they'll make it seem like it's required. This is the problem. So some will tell you to pay tithes, and some will tell you to offer the money. But who are you going to give it to? You can't give it to God because God's not going to accept it. He can't accept nothing defiled. But the thing is, they have a problem because most of them are going to always try to find out different ways. Some are going to always try to find out different ways. Meaning what? We're going to look at some of that. See, because he loves a cheerful giver when they do that. But it can't be out of necessity at all. So how do that works out? I'm going to show you. See, and this is what they're talking about and what they mean. So, because some people sit there and say, well, he have books, he sells this. He said, yeah, people said, yeah, which we do. But you got to understand one thing. See, you need to use your money and you need to use it wisely. That's why it says that. See, no one should tell you something out of the way. See, one should buy the truth and not sell it, trying to profit you to sell you a lie on the Sabbath day. Meaning what? Let's look at this. Let's look at this and find out a couple of things that make sure that we're clear on. We're going to go to Proverbs 23 and we're going to look at 23. Why? Because we're not going to look at it. And he says, buy the truth, B-U-Y. Buy. Not buy, B-Y. Buy the truth and sell it not. Also, wisdom and instruction and understanding. Why is he saying it even in that matter? See, the same thing like we said. We don't sell like personal books. We sell precept Bibles, study Bibles, and things to where you can buy the truth. Those help you. Those help you do what you need to do to get into the kingdom. Not sitting there seeking donations. Not sitting there seeking other avenues or ways and doing things. So when you sit there, he's telling you clear as day, you buy the truth. Don't sit there and buy a lie and thinking you're going to get your way through it. But this is what they do. They do these things to keep you from the truth. Meaning what? That's why they want you to give to them in that certain way. In Leviticus chapter 25, verse 14, it says the same thing, which you're going to get into it. It says, if thou sell aught unto thy neighbor, or buy aught for your neighbor's hand, ye shall not oppress one another. Meaning what? If one need and one has given the assistance, and that's what a lot of them do, they give to assist other people. Yeah, you're not oppressing them, but don't sit there and give that, looking to seek something from them for that. He loves a cheerful giver when they do that. That's the thing, but it's not required. It's not required. However, many are going to go back into bondage. Many are going to go back into bondage, just like in in Genesis chapter 49, verse 15. It says what? And they saw the rest was good in the land and was pleasant, and they bowed their shoulder and bare, and it became servants unto tribute. Don't get caught up in this. When you get the truth, you get the truth. And that's what you hold on to. Don't sit there and let people lie to you about these other things. This is the problem, knowing what's going on. So he tells you something that the Most High and Yahweh always tell you. You have to yoke yourself unto salvation and not oppress another person, but help that other person to go through, and then to where they can yoke themselves unto the light. Let's look at this and show you how all this is working out and why everybody can see who works what and works the way that they need to be working. We're going to look at Matthew chapter 11, verse 30. It says this. It says, "For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." He's telling you right up front. His yoke is easy and his burden is light. Why? Why? Why do he say that? Let's look at verse 20. Let's look at verse 29. He says, "Take my yoke upon you." You see, you take his yoke, and what he says, learn of me. You have to learn of him. That's why you get teachings. That's why people call themselves teaching, but they're doing it for money. But you learn of him. And then what you do, if you don't have the tools to learn of him, you get the books that you need. That's what he's saying. You learn of him. He says, "For I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls." And you can get the truth. Why is he saying it in this manner? Because he don't need anything from you other than what you need to do. Don't sit there and try to offer money to him or to his servants and thinking you're going to buy your way into the kingdom. That's stupidity. That's why you don't see us asking for no money. But if you need tools to do it, you get the tools. That's it. Because just no reason for you to offer money to him. None. You're going back into bondage, is what he's saying. This is bondage that you're doing, because he makes this perfectly clear. Haggai chapter 2, verse 8, he tell you, "The silver is mine, the gold is mine, saith the Lord of hosts." This money belongs to God. This belongs to God. So it's telling you what altogether. We got to look at this in its full realm and understanding. So if all this money belongs to God and he's telling you don't do these things, why are you saying that? He said the money is his, and then he already told us up front. He said, clear as day, "I take no bullock out of thy house, nor a he-goat out of thy fold." He ain't talking about yours, he's talking about his. He's talking about his. And they done switched it, talking about thinking it's yours. No. So when you look at this in Malachi, he makes it perfectly clear on why he said what he said. In Malachi chapter 3, verse 8, "Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me, but we say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offering." Why? He already told you don't take no bullock out of his house. Nor he go, the gold is his, the silver is his. Understand this. Understand this. He goes on more. In verse 10, "Every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle upon 1,000 hills. I know all the fowls of the mountain, and the wild beasts of the field are mine." Don't get caught up with these men telling you these lies. Give them money for this. Give them money to move God's word forward. They got to go over to Jehovah to teach some other people. You obey God. It tells you. Actually, let's go run. We're gonna run to this. We running down. So we're gonna close this one out pretty. We're gonna go down to Acts chapter 5, verse 29. Let's look at something. He said, "Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, what? We are to obey God rather than man." Obey God rather than man. So what do God require as we close up? What is he requiring is what we close up? Or are we going to go back to in bondage. Are we going to go back in bondage? So what do he require? He tells you this clear as day. He makes himself clear as day. And we're going to see Paul tell us some things. He tells us this. He said, I beseech thee therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. He didn't say give him no money, did he? He didn't tell you give you no money, did he? He tells you even more. He said, and be not conformed to this world. Don't get caught up in bondage, bro. But be ye transformed by the renewing of the mind. The mind. That's why we said that. Are you going to go back into Egypt again? Again? That ye may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Let's not get caught up. Let's not get caught up. Because I told you, from the beginning, let's recap this real quick as we close it out. Recap this. Exodus chapter 1, verse 8. Now there rose up a new king over bondage, which knew not Joseph. We living in a world that know not Joseph. We're sitting under people who know not Joseph, not remembering the acts on what Joseph did and the works that he did. People sitting there talking about, what have you done for me lately? If you made a vow to join yourself to the covenant with God, then we need to make sure we're doing something. We need to make sure we're doing something. We got to make sure, this is what we make sure we're doing. And you make sure you do this, and you obey God rather than man every time. When they sitting there telling you to offer to their ministry, don't get caught up. In Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 21, it says this, and we're going to see what's happening. 21, it tells you this, and it makes itself clear. It says, when thou shalt vow a vow unto Yahweh thy God, thou shalt not slack to pay it. For the Lord thy God will surely require it of thee, and it will be a sin in thee. So you make sure you pay that vow. You make sure you pay this vow. The vow is not to me, so there's no reason to give me money. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason to give any man who's saying he's teaching the word of God. There's no reason to give him money because your vow is not to me. God don't have no bank sitting here on earth to where I can sit there and take your money and sitting there taking in tithes on a weekly basis and taking it to a bank because it's stupidity. That's what he's saying. This is what he wants you to understand. But you pay your vow to God. You pay that to God. And if you see somebody who need help and they missing the book or whatever, you get the book for them. You do whatever you need to do there. He loves a cheerful giver to help them to buy the truth. You buy the truth. You don't sit there and try to buy a preacher. Buy a teacher. Your vow is to God. So you do, and what he said, learn of him. Don't learn of Elder Johnson. Learn of him. These things will always benefit you as you continually go. In Sirach chapter 18, verse 22, he tells you, and he makes himself perfectly clear. He says, let nothing hinder thee to pay thy vow in due time, and defer not until death to be justified. Don't wait on this. Don't wait on this. These are things that we got to make sure, because he's telling you something that's really clear, as we always understand as we go through here, as we closing this out. Because these things, I just want you to leave you with a few tools to make sure that these things, you don't fall into this trap. We don't want to go back into Egypt. And he's saying these things going to befall us. And I just want to make sure with a few tools, I can get you with a few tools to go away from here to where you can keep them in your purse, you keep them in your pocket, but you keep them most closely to anything that you can, you keep them in your heart. And he says this, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. See, heal the sick and cleanse the lepers, raise the dead and cast out devils. Freely ye have received. Freely give. Freely give. See, I received this freely. I'm giving it to you freely. You have many of us giving you freely. They did it yesterday. They did it Thursday. They give it to you freely. You freely give it to someone else. These are things that we need to make sure we have. See, and to make sure these things go right, we're going to look at 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 12, and it says this. It says, now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit which is of God, that we might know the things that are freely given to us of God. That's why. That's why. I just want to leave you with these things. I just want you to make sure you put these tools in your pocket. Keep them in your pocket all the time. And watch, just make sure you keep these last few verses. If you don't keep anything else, you make sure you keep these last few ones in your pocket. Acts chapter 8, verse 20, he says this, and he goes on more by one of his prophets. He going to say you this. He says, but Peter said unto them, thy money perisheth. Your money going to perish with thee, because thou thought that the gift of God may be purchased with money. It can't. It can't. You can purchase and get the knowledge to where you can eat it once you pay for it. It's the same as you going to a fast food or a restaurant or whatever you're going to purchase food. You're going there to purchase it to eat it. So the same thing you would do with these books and these things that we do and we study with. You get those to where you can eat it in your spirit. It's the same analogy on what he's saying. Don't get caught up. Don't sit there and get caught up with these people want to get you to buy all this. Oh, I need to get a car. I need to get a plane. Get that knowledge. See, and he says this some of his last words in John chapter 21, and pick it up at verse 15. He says this. He says, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? Lovest thou me more than these? He said unto him, yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. Yahushua said unto him, feed my lambs. And he said to him again a second time, Simon, son of Jonas, lovest thou me? He said unto him, yea, Lord, thou knowest I love thee. He said unto him, feed my sheep. But he didn't stop there. He said it to him a third time. He said, Simon, thy son of Jonas, lovest thou me? Peter was grieved. This don't mean he felt sorry. Peter was angry. That's what this means. Peter was angry because he said it unto him a third time. He done told him twice. It's like he told you, I done told you but twice. But he's still that. Lovest thou me? He said unto him, Lord, thou knowest all things. Thou knowest I love thee. Yahushua said unto him, feed my sheep. Nowhere in there do you see where he's asking them for money. Nowhere do you see where he's telling them to give these things for money. That's why Peter clearly understood what he said. Feed the flock of God which is among you, taking oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly, not for filthy lucre, but a ready mind. Let's not go back into bondage, you guys. See, a lot of us are sitting here right now to where you're sitting at home and you're sitting there, and hopefully some of you guys will run across and see what this truth really is going on and what's happening here. So you make sure these things happen for you, and as you continually move forward, these things can go on. So what we're going to do, we're going to finish up here And what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna put it in the I'm gonna put in this area. We're gonna go into the back for a question and answer period, and I'm put this over in the descriptions right now. 1 second. And I do have to do it afterward because normally when I do it beforehand, we have too many people back there and they did it a different way. So I just let me take care of that real quick. And I'm putting this over on Vimeo real quick right now. We'll have this set. And then I will do YouTube. So if you guys refresh your screens on YouTube and on Vimeo, you'll see the access to get into Zoom if you want to do any of the questions that you may have or comments. We appreciate them all, but make sure that you can go in there and do these things, and just trying to make sure to where we have some of this going through. And make sure those are set. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get ready to go out. So hopefully that you guys got some knowledge out of there that you guys can continue to move forward. But just make sure let's stop going back and taking our mind back into Egypt, because that's one of the biggest problems we have today. So with that, I can meet people back in the back into where we can take a question and answer period. And with that, hopefully that you guys got some understanding from it. So until next time, and actually, and tomorrow before I go out, tomorrow we're going to be going into Romans again. And Romans we're going into, because Paul is getting hot and heavy. So a lot of this stuff, make sure if you want to join in, tomorrow we'll be on Romans. So you guys more than welcome. So until tomorrow, I say to each and every person, until then, shalom.